Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women Racing to Win. Joe San Diego here, along with Daniel Zeri from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. A lot to talk about. And Daniel, I know we have a special guest. We're very excited. Sarah Bovy's with us today. Daniel, take it away.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone, and many thanks to Sarah Bovy to being with us today. Of course, it's the week after the big race, the Le Mans 24 Hour, and of course, Sarah was racing there. It was her dream to race in Le Mans. She always told us that since she started racing, that was the big dream. And Sarah, first of all, thank you for being with us. How do you feel now being a Le Mans finisher?
Well, it's a little bit unreal, everything happened so fast for me. I didn't really have the time to realize it was happening. 1 month ago, I was not even supposed to race in Le Mans, and then suddenly, not only I did race in Le Mans, but I finished it. So for sure, I'm still trying to process all those information. But yeah, as you said, it was always my dream, so I'm mostly very happy right now.
This is something also that I ask some other drivers after they made their debut in Le Mans. Do you have any the time during that weekend, which is of course not just the race, but the whole week of preparation, of course all the months or even before, to even grasp the importance of this race, the history that's behind what you're actually accomplishing during that event?
Well, in my case, I think I had 17 years to think about it. I've been many times over there. I've been following some teams. I've been working actually more like a consultant for Total Racing, who is one of the main sponsor of the event. I've done some news for them and everything. So I've been interviewing drivers and so on. So I had a lot of time to realize like the magic of Le Mans before even thinking like for real racing in it. So for sure, I knew from scratch what I was expecting, what the week would be looking like, what it would be like to be in the paddock and everything, because I've been there already before. But it's true that when you arrive there and you receive your pass with driver written on it, all of a sudden it's very difficult. It's much more emotional for a racing driver. But for sure, once you are in the racing week, once you are between the free practice and the quali and everything, you're more the head in the work you have to do. But I really, maybe it's because I have a bit more experience than when I did, for instance, my first 24 hours of Spa. I was only 18 years old, and I just didn't really take the time to enjoy the race week. This time, to be honest, I really made sure that from time to time I was taking 5 minutes just to sit down in the hospitality and watch over the paddock on the sunset during the race week and everything, and enjoy the moment, because I think that it's a souvenir that you should keep for life.
That's really important, and great that you mentioned that, because this is something also that some other drivers said, that you are so into the race that you don't really take the time to enjoy what you're actually accomplishing. So that's really important that you did that. We have a question from the chat from some of our viewers. So let's take it away. Will you do the 24 hours of Daytona? That's the question from some of our followers.
Well, at the moment, I don't really know what will be my next race. In my case, the program I have this year was not supposed to happen. All of that started 4 months ago when I just replaced last minute another driver in the Iron Dames car. So I've been kind of in a race-to-race situation since then, which was very positive for me because it always went up until they offered me the drive for the 24 hours of Le Mans. But to be honest, everything has been so fast that I have no idea what will come next, what kind of program I'm going to have next with them. I'm quite sure there will be some other race because we have a very good match between the mentality and the purpose of the Iron Dames and what I've been looking for in motorsport for forever. So there will be, I think, next races. I don't know yet which one. At the moment, the team doesn't have any program in US. But for sure, it would be a dream to be able to say, like, I've done Spa, Le Mans, Daytona, and why not maybe one day Nordschleife as well.
Yeah, definitely. Also, my next question was actually about the 24-hour Spa, because of course that was not your first 24-hour race. You raced previously in Spa. What is, in your opinion, the two main the main differences between those two epic races?
So yeah, of course. If I start, I'm going to start maybe with the traffic management. It's completely different in Spa because you only have GT3, and on papers, all cars have the same ability to go fast. So there's not a lot of difference in terms of lap time between the cars that are fighting for the top 10 of the race and the cars that are fighting for, let's say, the last 10 positions. If you are in between those two, rankings, it's very complicated Spa 24 hours because you never really know if the car that is just behind you is a car that maybe just exit the pit and you are faster than them, or if it's the leader of the race approaching you. So in Spa, the traffic management, especially during the night, is kind of complicated because you never really know what is behind you, what is in front of you, who you should be attacking for a position or not. Of course, we have the radio, but with 66 cars on track, it's very difficult for the engineers and the spotter to tell us what's the real situation and who are the cars around us. In Le Mans, first, the track is longer, so you have almost twice as long as Spa, and you have more or less the same amount of cars. So for sure, it's already a little bit more easy to manage for the spotter and tell you what's with you on track. And then, of course, most of the time when you are overtaken, it's by a car that is 20 to 30 seconds faster than you a lap, because the LMP and the hypercar are so much faster that they can overtake us very easily. So everybody was warning me about the traffic management in Le Mans, and it's true. You have to be always careful because they arrive very, very fast, so you don't want to miss them. But to be honest, I think for me, the traffic management during 24 hours of Spa, when you are playing in the midfield of the race, is actually harder to manage. And then the second part that is very, very different between these two races is that Spa is physically much more demanding. Of course, again, because the track is different, Le Mans is a lot of straight line, but also because the GT3 is a car that is a little bit more difficult to drive physically than the GTE. The GTE is actually a very comfy car. I was surprised when I jumped from the GT3 Le Mans Cup to the GTE in Monza. You drive it very, very smooth and very, very quiet. I mean, it's kind of different way of driving. And yeah, to be honest, when I got out of my first practice session on the Sunday before the 24 hours of Le Mans, I was quite happily surprised that physically it was not going to be a problem.
That's interesting because also Tatiana Calderon, for example, told us that last year she made her debut in endurance racing, and her first race in endurance was actually 24-hour Daytona, and she said that the traffic management was something really, really difficult for her. So it's interesting that for you, actually, Le Mans was not that of a big step compared to what you did, for example, in Spa. That's interesting.
Yeah, I've done also, for instance, 24-hour series with small cars, and we are also racing against GT3 in that competition. So I have been, even if it was my first Le Mans, I have been quite a lot of time in a situation where I had to do traffic management, and for sure it's completely different for somebody like Tatiana that is coming from Formula cars where she's always fighting with the car in front and the car behind, but she never really has to manage being overlapped or something like that, which is normal and good for her for sure. But for sure, for me, it was not that brand new experience.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Also, you were in Le Mans previously to racing there, as you said. But how was your first lap of that legendary track? Describe the emotions that went through your first lap at La Sarthe.
It's funny you asked the question. I actually like a lot your question every time we have an interview together.
Thank you.
No, but it's nice because really I actually took a lap the Sunday for the official test day. I was the first one on track. There was not a lot of people on track yet because it was early in the morning. and I actually took a lap like just to enjoy being in Le Mans. And I was like, I was not even completely flat in the straight line. I was just like, whoa, that's it. You are here. You are doing your first lap on Le Mans. So I took my out lap just to savor a little bit the moment and just take the maximum happiness out of it. And then after that, it was just one out lap and then back to business. Let's push and let's see what I can get out of the car.
That's so cool to hear, because this really shows how much of a passionate you are about this race, how much of a passion you have about endurance racing and all this stuff. It's so refreshing to actually hear something like that from a elite driver like you. That many just say, yeah, I'm doing my job and stuff like that. But it's so cool to actually hear something like that from you. Did you manage to get some sleep during the night? I know with all the adrenaline that goes through when the others are in their stints, it's sometimes difficult to get some sleep, but probably you have to.
Yeah, well, it's also another big benefits from being a little bit older when you have that kind of experience from the first time. Again, my first 24 hours race and even my first 12 hours race, I was, in the box all the time and looking lap by lap, sector by sector, what my teammates were doing. I wanted to be in control of everything, and at the end of the day, when you get in the car, you're already exhausted. So I knew that energy management, even if I was feeling very nice in the car in terms of physical condition, I knew that to avoid to make the stupid focus mistakes, like in terms of traffic management and everything, you need to rest. You need to force yourself to rest. And for that, it was nice because we have been talking a lot about it with Raël and Michel during the race week about how we were trying to save ourselves for the race and everything. So the energy saving is actually starting the week before the race and even 10 days before the race. So we have been very, very careful with that because we all fall in the trap of just being over enthusiastic and not being ready when we need to be ready. And then during the 24 hours, I actually set up with the physio, we set up like a routine that I would do every time I jump in and out the car. And basically we were double stinting all the time. So it was cool because we would have 4 hours in total between 2 stints. Out of these 4 hours, 1 hour 20 was for eating when we jump out of the car, eating something like pasta or toast or something like that. Having a good massage and physiotherapy with the physio, and then trying to sleep. I was sleeping more or less 45 minutes between each stint. It's not like a very, very heavy sleep. It's quite light. And then being in the box 1 hour before stint, completely fully awake, and after a short coffee and everything. Because when you are racing for an Italian team, you have to drink coffee. It's like mandatory. But it's okay for me. It's not a problem. But yeah, so that was kind of my routine. And even if you don't want to sleep, even if you're always a little bit afraid that you're gonna wake up and discover that your car, quit the race or something like that. But you have to, because you need to be ready for the next stint.
Yes, absolutely. And also with Iron Lynx being such a powerhouse of a team, there's all this organization going on, and it's I think that's big help also from a driving point of view. You have everything under control. They are taking care of everything. It's in a short time they've become really one of the benchmarks in GT racing. Mm-hmm. So how is your experience with them so far?
Yeah, the team itself is a big family. It's fantastic to be part of it because where do I start? I mean, the team was initially built by Andrea and Giacomo Piccini, who have such a strong experience of racing and endurance racing in general, that they can manage to kind of get out of all the traps that you can fall in when you start a new team. And then with the support of Claudio and Deborah, we have the they have what it takes to go directly to the top where they want to be, and they can, they can achieve a lot of things, and I think they showed it during 24 hours of Spa this year. To go and win 24 hours of Spa with only 2 cars and such a little experience of existing in the GT world, it's quite amazing what they did. And actually, I think what they did in Le Mans is even more impressive, because I think we were one of the only private team with 3 cars starting the race, and out of these 3 cars crossed the finish line. 2 of them was in the top 5, and the last one we were in the top 10 at the end, even if we had some little issue during the night. So it's quite impressive. I don't think a lot of teams have achieved that, having 3 cars in Le Mans, finishing with the 3 cars, and being so competitive all around the weekend.
Absolutely. We also have another interesting question from our audience, which says, what kind of food do you eat during such a race?
So you always have like the recommendation from your physio, and then you have what driver actually like to eat and what they do, because you also need to have your comfort. Personally, I love eating, and I can eat more or less anything at any time of the day. I don't have any big issue with that. So for me, during the 24 hours, it was either some pasta with Parmigiano and a bit of olive oil, or I also had like some toast with like ham and cheese, So basically, we try to have something comforting, something that will give you some long-term sugars in your systems to stay. We try to have like a quite stable energy in terms of sugar input and everything, and don't eat anything that is kind of difficult to process. Like, for instance, we try to avoid like the eggs or very heavy stuff and stuff like that. But I know some drivers, they will take anyway the pasta with some tomato sauce, even if it's not like the ideal, but just because they know that they can process it pretty well, and it's fine for them. So yeah, I do that. And then before the stint, I would eat some red berries with my coffee, just to have something like waking me up a little bit. That's the kind of stuff I'm doing.
Very interesting. Also, speaking about the race now, as you said, there was, I think, a lot of potential in your crew. Of course, some difficulties and some bad luck, pure bad luck, I would say, especially during the night. Recap a little bit your race from your point of view.
Yeah, so from the beginning of the week, from the test day on Sunday, we understood directly that we were into the good part of the field. Our ambition, we were hoping for being able to fight for a top 5 before coming in Le Mans, and we realized that we were able to do it. So that was definitely our target, going for the top 5. When Michi started the race, to be honest, with the rain and everything, it was just surviving. It was just a question of survive the race start. She did very well because she stayed out of trouble, and she just she just managed to keep a good pace, and at the same time not taking any stupid risk, because the worst thing you can imagine in a 24 hours race is just to crash during the first hour. And then after that, she came back in for slick tires. Then she double stint on those slick tires. And then we started, like our routine with all the double stint and everything. And after we each went into the car, so after 7 hours of race, we were into the top 5. So we were like installed in the top 5, not because of car spitting in front of us or something like that. We were really like installed in the top 5. And then we were like, okay, now we have to survive the night and push in the morning and see if we can do even a little bit more than that. The issue is that, unfortunately, we started we had a puncture while Raël was driving, a pretty bad one, at the beginning of the lap. So she had to come back very slowly to avoid destroying, the whole car. That made us lose already quite. I think already we lost the lap with that. That was unfortunate, but one lap we could manage, like you always know that you can still keep pushing a little bit more, and maybe you can still fight for a good position after that. And then Michi as a second puncher. We lost a little bit less time, but it kind of messed up with the whole strategy we had. And unfortunately, after that, in the end of the other stint of Michi, she had a suspension failure. That was just, it was not due to a shock or anything like that. She didn't have any contact. She didn't went off the track. It's just like pure mechanic bad luck, you know, like the cars are completely prepared before the race. Everything is brand new. So it's not like we could have done something about that. It's just, it happens, you know. But that suspension failure, I was supposed to jump. I jumped in the car when she came in, and then they put the car in the box with me inside. And that was probably the longest 12 minutes of my life, because I was like, well, what are we doing? Why are we not back on track? I want to go. So yeah, we lost a lot of time with that. I think like an additional 4 laps maybe. And from then, you know, well, all you can do is hope for a little bit of luck in, you know, like a little bit of success in safety cars and stuff like that. But 4 laps in Le Mans, the laps is almost 4 minutes. It's so long. You cannot do much more once you have that kind of gap with the cars in front of you. So we just try to stay on track, keep pushing hard, and see what happened in the morning. And yeah, we still managed to come back from, I think we were like
P16.
Yeah, around that, because yeah, and we came back to, I think in the morning we were around P10, and then at the end of the race we were fighting for. Actually, we were in contact with P7, P8. But the Porsche and the Bentley, in terms of the Porsche and the Aston Martin, in terms of pure pace with the pro driver, were just too fast. We could not keep up with them. And at this time of the race, it was just not possible. So unfortunately, P9 was the best we could have done. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating, because when we see, if you add like 4 to 5 laps to the final result we have, well, we would have been P4. But you know, with I would be Formula One world champion. So
that's good point. Also, during the night, just after the suspension issue, I think I sent some messages to Rahel, and she was really disappointed actually, because she knew that you guys had the pace to be in the top 5. But yeah, as during that period of time, I think that she wasn't really sure if you could have made it back into the top 10. Well, actually, at the end, it was kind of a really impressive recovery in during the morning and then on Sunday. So that, I think, was really, really impressive from all of you, and of course from your first experience at Le Mans. You did so well, very, very consistent throughout all the stints, and that was really impressive. One another question. Of course, this is also your first one, but you've seen the Le Mans in the big race when you were not racing. Tatiana Calderon last year told us that she kind of felt like a bit disappointed because there was missing the public on the grandstand, which is such a big also part of this event. Do you think that the atmosphere this year was a little bit back to normal?
Yes, and still we were missing some of the important stuff. For sure, it was good to see the public in the grandstand and everything, and on the starting grid, it was nice to have people, you know, like applauding and shouting and everything. And that was really cool. I think motorsport without the fans, without the public, is just, you know, a bunch of people spending a lot of money to turn around on a racing track. So public is super important in motorsport, and we need it. And I really, really hope that we're going to get back to a normal situation very soon. For sure, I was missing a lot the parade, because I've seen the parade from inside when I was working as consultant, and that is definitely a nice experience, I think, for everybody, not only for the public but also for the drivers. It's cool because you can be a little bit in contact. It's chill, and it's a nice moment to spend in the city of Le Mans and everything. And I was missing also a little bit the contact with the fact, in the paddock, because as everything was closed, we could not go into the village. They could not come into the paddock. So that was a little bit sad. But it was still much better than last year for sure, and we can only hope that next year is going to be back to 100% normal.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully. Also, this was your second race in a GTE car, only your second race, and you did Le Mans at your second race. So now the big dream, I think, is shifting towards winning the race, winning Le Mans. You've done, the participation is checked, done. Now the big dream, I think, is switching. What are you? Of course, this is stuff that is out of your hands, as you said, with the team, etc. But what's the plan now? And do you think that it's with this team that you were working very well together, a podium or even a victory is on the plan?
Well, just coming back to what you were saying earlier about Raël and Michel, disappointments. I actually can completely understand that for them it's probably a little bit more difficult to take than it is for me, as it's my first participation. They finished P9 already last year and the year before. So of course, when they realized that this year we were able to do top 5 like on a regular basis, we didn't need any kind of how to say that, we didn't need cars to not finish the race in front of us for doing that. We could do it, we could achieve it like with our pace. So for sure I understand that they were a little bit disappointed, and more than I am, because for me it's the first time. So yeah, even if I'm a little bit disappointed, I'm especially super happy that we have crossed the finish line and it's my first one and everything. No, for the future, for sure I will be more in a kind of situation like they are. We always want more and we want to be competitive, and I think I'm saying that every single interviews I have about the program with the Iron Dames. We are not there for figuration. We are not there to be cute on the starting grid. We are there because we want to be competitive and we want to make some podiums and win some races. And for sure, it was only my second race in that car, but it's true that I felt very good in the car during the whole race. The pace was good. Kyle and Michi are impressive, to be honest. They were so fast with the car all week long, and they deserve to have better result than that. And if it's with me, if I can help with that, if I can bring as a bronze driver, if I can help them to achieve those results in that class of racing, I just would be super happy. But for sure, even if I'm the bronze driver today, I'm still a racing driver. I'm still extremely competitive in my mind. And I just think that indeed in motorsport you don't always have what you deserve, because motorsport not only depend on what you do on track, but for sure, if at some point you want to have what you deserve, you need to keep trying and trying again and keep fighting and keep going for it with all your heart. And that's what we can do if we have the opportunity to do it in the future.
Absolutely. Well, Sarah, I think you covered pretty much all our questions, and I'm so grateful for your time. Wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll see you on track in some other races. Couldn't make it to Le Mans this year, but hopefully we will see in the next future.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to share my experience with you guys. And see you next time on the racing track with pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It was a lot of fun listening about all the car racing at Le Mans. And of course, Le Mans 24 Hours is in the books this year. Daniel, I know we got quite a good amount of the 24 Hours of Le Mans to cover. I guess starting with the LMP2 class, we know this year there was a lot of people talking about maybe an LMP2 car could win the race if the 5 LMDH cars were to have trouble. We didn't see that. In fact, all the LMDH cars finished 1 through 5. LMP2, of course, Richard Mill Racing didn't exactly go this year. Can you tell us all about their race effort, especially that chaotic start with all that rain?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, the LMP2 cars were really under the spotlight because of it was the very first edition with the hypercars on track. And as you said, the hypercars were super reliable. So every one of them crossed the finish line. They had very few problems actually during the race, except for the first lap. It was very crazy first part of the race, first hour of the race, I would say, with the Glickenhaus hitting the number 7 Toyota that had to recover. But in the after 2 hours, I think the Sebastian Buemi was back on second position. The Toyotas were really fast, as probably everyone would have expected, but they were really on another planet on terms of pure pace. The Glickenhaus at their first experience of Le Mans, they crossed the finish line, both of the cars, so that was really impressive. And also the third place, the Alpine hypercar was pretty much on pace throughout all the race. Battled a little bit with the Glickenhaus once Baxivier spun in the gravel and had to recover a little bit. But we had an all-female team also in the LMP2 category, as you said, the Richard Mille racing team, with Tatiana Calderon, Beitzgewisser, and Sophia Flörsch, as we see here in the picture. It was their second year racing in Le Mans. Last year they were in P9, and also this year they were looking really strong. After the first 4 hours, they were also coming into the top 10. So that was really interesting also to see in the number one prototype. Unfortunately, after the first 2 stints by Tatiana Calderon, she was great, Tatiana, in the first stint, which was under the very difficult and tricky conditions in the rain. She managed to stay out of trouble in that really tricky situations. And then Beitzgewisser also had a very good stint in the second one. And after 4 hours, Sophia Flörsch went into the car for the third stint into the 5 hours of the race. And very unfortunately for Sophia, she did nothing wrong, but she was hit by another LMP2 car during her stint. Here we see the picture of the accident. So it was starting to be into the darkness. The race was going into the night, the very difficult hours and moments. And it was again raining, so it was very tricky because the cars were out on slick tires, but it was starting to rain, and you never know how much the rain is enough before you go into the rain or the wet weather tires. So they were staying out on slicks. It was that moment when you really have that crossover between the slick tires and the wet weather tires. And Sophia was hit, so nothing she could do. Her car was stationary in the middle of the track. She tried to rejoin, but there were some other cars trying to go around her. And unfortunately, another LMP2 cars really went blindly into the corner, and he didn't see Sophia at all and crashed pretty heavily into the side of the number one Richard Mille Racing prototype. Luckily, there was no injury for Sophia because it was pretty hard hit for her. And medical light turned on. These cars have a blue light inside the cockpit, and once the G forces go over a certain amount, the marshal have to extract the driver. And unfortunately for Sophia, even though she was not injured, the blue medical light went on, and so she had to abandon the car. That was very unfortunate. And after only 5 hours into the race, and they had to retire. So that was it for the Richard Mille Racing team. Of course, heartbreaking for all of them, but they will be back next year, hopefully. And they had potential, just like the Iron Dames. Probably the Iron Dames had the potential for a top 4, top 5, as Sarah had said, and the Richard Mille Racing team probably had pace for a top 8 from what I saw. Definitely another top 10 was in their potential. Unfortunate for them, after only 5 hours into the race, they will be back. They're all young drivers, and hopefully we will see more of them into the next 24 hour of Le Mans. They will be back in June next year.
Yeah, June next year. And we do got a question from the chat room. Do all 24-hour races have that blue light. I think they're talking about that blue light you mentioned to abandon the car. Is that something standard in sports car racing?
As far as I know, no, it's not standard. We have this in Le Mans and probably in WEC. I'll have to check the regulations, but no, I don't think it is the standard for all the races. It is definitely something that from this year and probably last year it was into the regulation of Le Mans. Le Mans obviously being such a big track, this is also part of this regulation, because of course in other circuits it's easier for the extrication team to get to the scene and reach the medical center, while in Le Mans being such a big track, and also in the Nürburgring 24 hour, which is also bigger, I think that plays a bigger role.
So definitely sounds like more because of the size of these tracks, just having that blue light so the marshals know, okay, that's somebody that's going to need help. Definitely, I think it's a great rule, and definitely just unfortunate for Sophia and the team that 5 hours, especially looking strong, the race was over. And of course, the other team we heard from Sarah, the Iron Lynx, Iron Dames, they ran then complete 24-hour race, some mechanical issues here and there. I know overall, it seemed like they had a good race despite some of the mechanical gremlins that you talked about. What are some of the other impressive things we saw from the Iron Dames, and especially considering next year potentially if we have that same driver lineup?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have to mention also that there is an interesting support series to the 24-hour Le Mans, which is called the Road to Le Mans, which races that has races with GT3 cars and LMP3 prototypes. This year they had 2 races, one on the day before the 24, so on Friday, and one on the Saturday morning before the actual start of the 24-hour race. And the Iron Dames were also lining up a GT3 Ferrari in that car in that race. The drivers were Manuela Gosner, who did the previous 2 races with Iron Dames in the previous 2 years in the 24-hour of Le Mans, and Dorian Pan. Dorian was scheduled to race with Sarah Bovy initially, and Sarah also raced with Dorian in the 2 rounds the 3 rounds of the Michelin Le Mans Cup this year. They did Barcelona, they did Le Castellet, and Monza, and they were on the podium in Monza. And they're actually now they are second in the championship as far as I know. And so it's really interesting to know, because Sarah was initially scheduled to do that support race, but then was switched into the main race, while Manuela Gosner did the reverse. So it's interesting to see what the lineup they will have for the upcoming races of the championship. We know that WEC will finish the next 2 races in Bahrain with a double header because one of the races in Japan has been cancelled. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the programs for Iron Dames will be, with also another very, very competitive lineup in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, which finished on the podium in the support race on Friday, where Dorian Pan and Manuela Gosner finished 3rd in the support race of the 24-hour race. So that was really, really impressive.
And we definitely want to remind everyone, be sure to visit racersbehindthehelmet.com. All the stories of all the upcoming races and past race weekend as well. The calendar right here on the top has the updated weekend race lineup. So definitely encourage everyone to visit the website. And definitely, I know we're just about out of time. Again, when it comes to W Series, we know they're going to be back at Belgium. We're going to be talking about that Saturday. What's some other key races you're going to be watching this weekend?
Well, definitely it's going to be W Series, the main event this year, back after the summer break at Spa-Francorchamps for the second part of the championship. But also we have Extreme E back on track, on course for the Greenland X Prix. It's going to be the very first motorsport event held in Greenland, so that's going to be interesting. Of course, Jamie Chadwick will not be racing in the Extreme E race because she will be in the W Series. But plenty of also other championship, and we definitely encourage everyone to check out the calendar on our website to be updated with the latest on all the series racing next weekend.
Definitely encourage everyone to check the website. And I see one last comment, and it looks like it's a pick a winner comment, Jamie Chadwick for Amber in the W Series. So definitely tune in Saturday Grid Live pre-race. It'll be the post-race edition for the W Series. So definitely we encourage everyone to subscribe and like to the Grid Network right here on YouTube. And of course, later tonight, Grid Tonight will be on the air with Kobe and Adam. And then of course, we're counting down to the Portland Grand Prix IndyCar race. Of course, that's taking place in the hometown of the Grid Network, Portland, Oregon. For Daniel at Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet, I'm Joe Samaniego. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.